Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Miss Pam Taylor and the presentation and posting of the colors by the Los Angeles Air Force Base Honor Guard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Code. Hope. Code. Colors turret. March.
Thank you, Miss Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, from the 61st Air Base Group, Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Christina Nyberg.
Thank you, Lord, for Lieutenant General Greaves, who led us with laser light focus and helped us to aim high and to do the impossible each and every day, so that our nation's leadership and our military forces would be well equipped for today's and tomorrow's mission. Thank you for General Greaves' knowledge and passion with which he pressed Team SMC to strive for technical excellence in the development, acquisition, fielding, and sustainment of our military space systems. Thank you, Lord, for his dignity and respect for all people, with which he exhorted us to strive for excellence in our quality of life, equal opportunity, and diversity of the force. But most of all, thank you for Lieutenant General Greaves' integrity, as he sought to serve our military and our civilian communities, our families, and our own family, and his own family. Bless he and Pat as they once again begin a new journey. May each and every step they take along the way be cause for great joy. Help us, Lord, to make welcome Lieutenant General Thompson and his family, and to offer our assistance in the big and small things as they make their home among us. You have readied him for the task at hand. You have surrounded him with knowledgeable directors and commanders. Empower him to lead Team SMC with humility, strength of character, and a sense of awe and wonder. May our common endeavors and our partnerships continue to advance our space capabilities for years to come. Be with us now in the rest of the details of this ceremony, in the words of our presider, and in each of our emotions as we say goodbye and hello. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Nyberg. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We are fortunate to have a number of distinguished and special guests with us today. Please hold your applause until they have all been recognized. Wife of Lieutenant General Greaves, Miss Pat Greaves. Friends of Lieutenant General and Mrs. Greaves, Mr. and Mrs. William Procopio. Wife of Lieutenant General Thompson, Mrs. Ruth Ann Thompson. We are also honored to have with us former Secretary of the Air Force and Vice Chairman of the Aerospace Board of Trustees, the Honorable Michael Donnelly. Commander, Air Force Materiel Command, and former Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, General Ellen Polakowski. Executive Director, Missile Defense Agency, Mr. John James. Former Commander, Space Systems Division, Air Force Systems Command, Lieutenant General Retired Donald Cromer. Former Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Lieutenant General Retired Edward Berry. Former Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Lieutenant General Retired Gene Tatini. Former Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Lieutenant General Retired Tom Sheridan. Former Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance, Headquarters Air Force, and former Vice Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Lieutenant General Retired Larry James. Mayor of Ranchos Palos Verdes, the Honorable Brian Campbell and his wife Susan. Mayor of Lawndale, the Honorable Robert Pullen Miles. Former Mayor of Ranchos Palos Verdes, the Honorable Larry Clark. Former Mayor of Redondo Beach, the Honorable Mike Ginn. Representing Assemblyman Al Meritsuchi of the 66th District, Melissa Ramoso. Senior Fellow, Distinguished Chair in Air and Space Policy, Professor, Pardee Rand Graduate School, Miss Natalie Crawford. Former Director of Special Projects, Office of the Secretary of the Air Force, and former Deputy Commander for Space Operations, Space Division, Los Angeles Air Force Base, Major General Retired John Culpa and his wife Marcy. Former Vice Commander, Air Force Space Command, Major General Retired Tav Taverney and his wife Dr. Kathy Taverney. Former Deputy Director of the National Reconnaissance Office and former Vice Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Major General Retired Susan Machiko. Former Vice Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Major General Retired Craig Kooning. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Budget, Major General Retired Ed Bolton. Former Director of Strategic Plans and Requirements, Air Force Space Command, and former Vice Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Major General Retired Terry Feehan and Miss Ruth Ann Miller. Former President and CEO, the Aerospace Corporation, Dr. William Ballhaus. Former President and CEO, the Aerospace Corporation, Dr. Wanda Austin and her husband Wade Austin Jr. Former Executive Director, Space and Missile Systems Center, Mr. Bill Mikish. Former Executive Director, Space and Missile Systems Center, Mr. Dave Madden. Community Relations Consultant, Miss Josie Katz. President and CEO, Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce, Miss Donna Dupirion. And Director, Business Development and Marketing for Central City Association of Los Angeles, Miss Nen Lasky. We are also pleased to have with us today Command Chief, Air Force Space Command, Chief Master Sergeant Brendan Criswell. Individual Mobilization Augmentee to the Space and Missile Systems Center Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Tina Kaysen. Former Command Chief, Space and Missile Systems Center, Chief Master Sergeant Retired Craig Hall and Denise Matsushita. Additionally, the Space and Missile Systems Center's senior leadership are with us today. Vice Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Brigadier General Mark Baird. Executive Director, Space and Missile Systems Center, Miss Joy White. Command Chief, Space and Missile Systems Center, Chief Master Sergeant Scott Myers. Mobilization Assistant to the Commander, Brigadier General Scott Goldstein. President and CEO of the Aerospace Corporation, Mr. Steven Isakowitz. And Associate Portfolio Director, Air Force Space, the MITRE Corporation, Mr. Mike Joy. We are also honored to have with us this morning many of our industry partners, as well as numerous civic and other military leaders. Thank you all for attending. History reveals that as far back as Roman times, standards representing their national or clan origins were frequently carried in front of advancing armies. Through the ages, knights carried their crest and coats of arms into battle on their shields, so their followers would rally to the standard during the course of battle. During the American Civil War, each lieutenant organization carried into battle a set of colors. Time and time again, soldiers risked their lives to ensure their colors were always held high for all to see, both friend and foe. One aspect of the change of command which has not been altered is the public witnessing of the orderly manner in which authority is passed from the departing commander to their successor. It reflects the public acceptance of the responsibility being passed to the new commander. As you will see, this ceremony, just as it has for centuries, adds special significance and pageantry to military life, while preserving tradition and raising esprit de corps. Our formation today has military members from the organizations of the Space and Missile Systems Center and Los Angeles Air Force Base, representing the over 5,000 military, civilian, FFRDC, and contractor personnel who are the backbone of the center's mission success. The commander of troops today is Brigadier General Mark Baird. General Raymond, please come forward for the presentation of command.
Division. Reports all present or accounted for, sir. Remote sensing director. Reports all present or accounted for, sir. Space superiority systems director. Reports all present or accounted for, sir. Sir, the command is present. Hooray! Hooray! Ready.
It is my great pleasure to introduce the Commander, Air Force Space Command, General John W. Raymond.
Good morning. I'll tell you, I'm looking at my script on the way in. Landed in Long Beach just about an hour ago, and my script started out with "What a beautiful day," and it came in, and there's this fog bank, and I said, let's scratch that off and let's just say it's a great day, but it's back to being a beautiful day. So good morning. What a beautiful, beautiful day to be here in Los Angeles. Secretary Donnelly, sir, thank you. It's always great to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your continued mentorship and leadership, and it's always great to have you with us. General Polakowski, welcome, and a special welcome to all the former SMC commanders for your presence here today. To the many senior leaders, civic leaders, community partners, especially Mayor Fuentes, Mayor Campbell, Mayor Pullen Miles, Mayor Jen, thank you. We can't thank you enough for the support that you provide the airmen of SMC. And on behalf of all those that are assigned here, thank you very much. For our industry partners, thank you for being here, and family members, friends, but most importantly, to the men and women of SMC, and especially those standing in formation today, you all look very, very sharp. Thank you all for attending. This is a special day. It's a special day not just for the Greaves family and for the Thompsons families, but it's a special day for our Air Force. It's a special day for Air Force Space Command and for the Space and Missile Systems Center, as we transfer command from one great leader to another. The history of the Space and Missile Systems Center dates back to June of 1954, with the Western Development Division of the Air Research and Development Command. Under the leadership of General Bernard Schriever, this organization became the birthplace of our U.S. Air Force's ballistic missile and military space programs. It's an organization that has time and time again prevailed, providing our nation essential military capability. Our ballistic missiles, and especially our on-orbit space capabilities, provide the foundation of our national security, and they fuel both our American way of life and our American way of war. Today, there is absolutely nothing that we do as a joint force that isn't enabled by space capabilities, and I'd repeat that, absolutely nothing. These successes are a testament to the men and women of this command, both past and present, and the leadership of the great officers like the two men that are standing here before you today. To the men and women of SMC, thank you for what you do each and every day. As I have told you before, this is the most exciting and critical time to be in the space business. We find ourselves once again at the uncomfortable intersection of high reliance yet high vulnerability. we must continue to transform the way we do business to ensure our space capabilities are defendable in an increasingly congested and contested domain. Our national security demands nothing less. I would ask each of you to stay laser focused on mission success, and I want you to know just how proud I am to serve along your side. Today is a bittersweet day for me. Not only are we saying goodbye to a great leader, a great airman, a space acquisition expert, but I'm saying goodbye to an officer that I consider a good friend. Sam, I can't thank you enough for your steady leadership, your expertise, and your wise counsel. You are a nationally recognized and respected space leader. I have been privileged to serve with you throughout my career, and in this job, in your current job, I've been privileged to serve as your partner as 14th Air Force Commander and now in my current role. I know you would be the first to admit that you couldn't have done this without the support of your family. Pat, thank you for all you have done for the SMC airmen and their families. Molly and I wish you, Chris, and Stephanie nothing but the best in the future, and we sure hope our paths cross again real soon. In 2014, when General Greaves took command, he identified, as I mentioned up front, this is a critical time to be in the national security space business, and Sam Greaves has been out front leading the way since he's been in command. Let me take a few minutes to highlight just a few of his many successes while in command. In 2014, when General Greaves took command, he identified that a sole source provider for launch services could threaten our assured access to space. And I will tell you, our assured access to space is a national imperative. He maintained a laser focus for mission success and implemented a solution by partnering with industry that resulted in the award of the first competitively selected Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle contract in 15 years that was valued at $140 million. His leadership was absolutely essential to transitioning the $14 billion advanced AEHF system to operations 5 months ahead of schedule, which is vital to the command and control of our nuclear forces. In addition to his partnerships with industry, he cultivated partnerships internationally with our allies, as evidenced by the recent launch of WGS-9 in March of this year, which was a major milestone in our 20-year partnership with Canada, Denmark, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. Under General Greaves' leadership, SMC has successfully completed numerous contract initiatives, saving the Department of Defense billions of dollars, all while managing and enhancing the technical capabilities of our space assets. Finally, Sam was able to take advantage of other transactional authorities, shortening the timeline to award contracts, making our acquisition processes more agile and able to provide capability to the warfighter more rapidly. Sam is moving to another critical posting as the director of the Missile Defense Agency. He will be charged with developing, testing, fielding, and integrating a layered ballistic missile defense system at a time in which the success of that system has never been more crucial to our national defense. The Department of Defense, in my opinion, could not have chosen a more capable officer for this highly demanding job. Sam, thank you again for all you've done over the past 3 years. We look forward to working closely with you in your new job. And I'll tell you, enjoy the drive west and the 8 days or so that you have in between this leadership opportunity and the next leadership opportunity. And I may take a detour for a couple days along the way. Now it's time to welcome Lieutenant General John J.T. Thompson. The great thing about our Air Force is that when one great leader walks out the door, another one is ready to walk in, and that is clearly the case today. Although I will tell you, I had some very serious reservations when I first heard that General Thompson was going to be the commander. See, JT had a lapse in judgment at the very beginning of his career. He's sitting over here scared to death. A pretty significant one that I'm surprised he even survived. You see, JT had the opportunity to attend Clemson University. What I consider the Harvard of the South. I try to put that in every speech I give. And we could have been classmates, but he chose to go another direction. And unfortunately, he took a path that led him to the Air Force Academy. But I suppose that's a blessing, because that is where he met Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann, welcome to Air Force Space Command, and thank you in advance for all of your leadership going forward. We are glad to have you, Margaret, Johnny, and Claire in the Air Force Space Command family. And I will tell you, like all military families know, when you do moves, this isn't easy. And the Thompsons have kids spread out all over the country in different phases of school. And Ruth Ann will be flying back tonight to help get their youngest through a couple exams. But thank you, and thank you for the sacrifices that you continue to make. I will tell you, in all honesty, in all seriousness, Air Force Space Command and SMC won the lottery when the Air Force selected Lieutenant General Thompson as the next Space and Missile Systems Center commander. If you were to talk to anybody about JT, the first thing that you will hear is what a great person he is. And that'll be quickly followed by he's a great officer and a great leader. General Polakowski, your loss is our gain. Thank you for sending him our way. General Thompson has proven himself time and time again as a leader, and he also knows a thing or two about leading our acquisition and sustainment professionals to equip our warfighters. He has sustained a record of excellence when it comes to leadership. As the first commander of the 327th Aircraft Sustainment Wing at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, his unit was awarded the Air Force Outstanding Unit Award in its initial year of existence. That very well could be unprecedented. This will also be the fourth time that Lieutenant General Thompson has served as a program executive officer. He first served as the Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance PEO at the Aeronautical Systems Center. And you're going to see a theme here. When I was preparing for this, what his OPR said was at this time, that was the Secretary of Defense's #1 priority. When the Air Force needed to stand up a PEO for strategic systems, JT once again got the call. This was the Air Force's top priority, with a responsibility for sustainment of our nuclear mission. If that wasn't enough, the Air Force then chose JT to lead the acquisition of our new tanker aircraft. Again, the #1 modernization priority for the Air Force at the time. The Air Force always gives General Thompson our toughest challenges, and he delivers without fail, and he makes it look easy. JT, you are custom built for this command. We need your leadership to help us transition from a benign space domain to a warfighting domain, just like air, land, and sea. We must continue to take those bold steps needed to transform our space architectures so we can defend them and ensure our joint warfighters always have the space capabilities that they rely on for mission success. Lead the professionals of SMC well, as I know you will, and I look forward to serving along your side. Again, to the men and women of Space and Missile Systems Center, thank you for what you do each and every day. For the airmen standing in formation, thank you. You all look sharp, and again, it's a privilege to be here on such a beautiful day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the award of the Distinguished Service Medal to Lieutenant General Greaves. Attention to order. The President of the United States, authorized by Act of Congress, July 9th, 1918, awards the Distinguished Service Medal to Lieutenant General Samuel A. Greaves for exceptionally meritorious service in a duty of great responsibility. General Greaves distinguished himself as Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, and Air Force Program Executive Officer for Space, Los Angeles Air Force Base, California, 19 June 2014 to 22 May 2017, where he successfully led over 5,000 personnel, directly managing an acquisition portfolio of 57 programs of record and a $7 billion annual budget, and delivering unprecedented multi-domain, multi-mission capabilities to our nation's warfighters through 22 successful military and national space launches. Under General Greaves' acquisition leadership, the Space and Missile Systems Center successfully completed numerous contract initiatives, saving the Department of Defense over $2 billion while enhancing technical capabilities for our national defense. His leadership was pivotal in transitioning the $14 billion Advanced Extremely High Frequency System to operations 5 months ahead of schedule, providing global nuclear command, control, and communication capabilities for military leaders and essential secure communication links for the President of the United States. General Greaves propelled public and private partnerships by executing launch service agreements worth over $900 million and successfully leveraged the commercial hosting of a $20 million constellation comprised of 32 satellites, saving the Department of Defense $960 million in launch costs. He also led the award of the first Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle contract in 15 years, valued at $140 million, meeting an essential priority for the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for acquisition, saving $52 million and providing the nation with continued access to space. Finally, he was instrumental in overhauling 12 cyberspace networks and securing $9 billion in funding to secure our cyber systems against adversarial threats. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Lieutenant General Greaves reflect the highest credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Thank you, General Raymond. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Typically, it is the privilege of the presiding officer to review the formation at this ceremony. However, General Raymond has deferred this honor to General Greaves. General Greaves will now review the Space and Missile Systems Center formation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Lieutenant General Samuel Greaves.
Well, good morning. Secretary Donnelly, General Polakowski, General Raymond, and Team SMC. Thank you for being here today, and thank you, Dan, for that kind introduction. To our many, many distinguished civic leaders, honored guests, visitors, and friends of both the Greaves family and the Space and Missile Systems Center, thank you so much for attending today's Change of Command ceremony, and welcome again to the birthplace of military space. Pat and I know that some of you have traveled very, very far to be here today, and we fully appreciate and thank you for your presence. We, Team SMC, our government and industry team, have accomplished a great deal over the past few years in our efforts to provide resilient and affordable space capability for our nation. And as I look back and as I assess our performance, I believe we are successfully continuing the important work of those early pioneers, General Bernard Schriever and the Schoolhouse Gang, and all the work they started up in that little schoolhouse up in Englewood. Since 1954, as General Raymond remarked, our center and its predecessors have provided important asymmetric intercontinental ballistic missile and space capabilities in the defense of our nation. A few examples are the mighty Atlas vehicle and the mighty Thor vehicle. So while we have physically moved our headquarters and our activities from that little schoolhouse in Englewood to our current location in El Segundo, I believe that General Schriever would be very proud of what we've done, And that statue in the courtyard at SMC at El Segundo should remind us every day of that heritage and the rich history that accompanies this mighty organization. At our center's last change of command in June of 2014, the Air Force had a single launch service provider for our national security space missions, and they were doing a fabulous job. Additionally, the space enterprise vision had yet to be announced by General Hyten, and we were facing the tail end of significant Air Force reductions in personnel. Since that time, SMC, together with our industry partners, we've completed over 117 of our SMC commitments, providing stellar capability for our warfighters, and we did so in synchronization with the scope of our assigned responsibilities, level of authorities, and degrees of accountability. Some specifics. General Raymond mentioned that we successfully planned and executed 22 national security space launch campaigns. He mentioned that we achieved the initial operational capability of the Advanced Extremely High Frequency Satellite System, providing secure communications to our national leadership. We also developed and implemented SMC cost centralization by aligning with the Office of Secretary of Defense's better buying power principles to better synchronize processes and streamline operations here at the center and to increase our efficiency by over 50%. Since FY14, we've reduced the overall acquisition timeline, beginning with the early acquisition strategy development to contract award by 185 days. That's a 25% reduction. We've implemented our portion of the Air Force Should Cost campaign in identifying and realizing real dollars, $6 billion plus in should cost savings that we sent back to the Air Force. We also were involved in delivering 11 space test program experiments, including the Deep Space Climate Observatory mission on the first Department of Defense SpaceX Falcon 9 mission in February of 15. And although there is still much work to do, we guided the GPS Next Generation Operational Control segment through some very serious programmatic challenges and forged a very strong partnership with the Defense Digital Services, bringing fresh ideas and the latest techniques from Silicon Valley, including cloud computing. We also successfully led the Evolved Experimental Launch Vehicle program to 3 wideband global SATCOM WGS satellite launches, providing robust operational capability to our warfighters. WGS-9, as General Raymond mentioned, launched on 18 March 2017 and was a major milestone in our partnership with the countries of Canada, Denmark, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. Additionally, WGS-9 was also the designated launch by our United States Air Force to commemorate the 70th anniversary of our service. The team also achieved security clearance certification for the first modernized GPS receiver to bring assured anti-jam, anti-spoof capability to the warfighter. And that team continues to work hand in hand with our counterparts at the B2 program as we prepare to flight test next generation precision military navigation receivers. The Geosynchronous Space Situational Awareness program, our Eyes in Space, our Neighborhood Watch, vehicles 1 through 4 were successfully launched during this period, providing unprecedented space situational awareness for our senior leadership. General Raymond mentioned this, but we certified SpaceX for both the Falcon 9 version 1.1 and then the Falcon 9 upgrade, paving the way for a new competitive environment within our launch service environment. We also were able to achieve full compliance with the National Orbital Debris Mitigation Standards. First time ever. This is reducing the debris in space. Of special note, we were able to work very closely with the leadership of the Tournament of Roses, including efforts supporting the Rose Bowl game, the Rose Bowl parade, and Brad and Susan, very glad to see you here. The team also led the modernization of the Eastern and Western Range networks and delivered the Western Range Operational Control Center in addition to supporting 88 launch and range operations up at Vandenberg. We recently established the Space Defense Task Force to implement a world-class command and control system and warfighting network. The ability to effectively defend our assets in space will provide vital services to our warfighters. Just this past weekend, we participated with Torrance Mayor Pat Fury's team in the Torrance Armed Forces weekend activities, the largest and longest running Armed Forces Day celebration in the country that's sanctioned by the Department of Defense. Of special note, it was our privilege to have with us our very own Joan Polakowski as the parade grand marshal. These celebrations and many others through the years serve to strengthen our great partnership with the South Bay community. Back to the work front, we developed a robust and disciplined approach to strategic planning, and as a result, our 2015 strategic plan was called out by the Air Force Space Command Inspector General as the best strategic plan in the command. We also were able to engage with key stakeholders in the Congress to tackle some of our nation's most complex security issues. We hosted 3 subcommittee chairmen, 4 other visits by members of Congress, and 18 visits by congressional staffs. We've also hosted multiple Office of Secretary of Defense and Headquarters Air Force representatives, including the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics, the Secretary of the Air Force, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. As for taking care of our people, we championed multiple quality of life initiatives here at the base. We completed the remodel of the Harborview Lounge and Cafe and by increasing the services available and creating an ideal space for fellowship and family. We also had multiple improvements to our fitness center, including new lockers and heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and restoring of the running track up in El Segundo. We were also able to enter into a first-of-its-kind partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers to implement a $10.7 million in energy savings initiatives across the Hill Air Force Base and Fort MacArthur plants, including new solar panels and new HVAC upgrades that will save $800,000 per year for the foreseeable future. We were also able to convert all of our government vehicles from gas to electric, becoming the first federal facility in the nation to go all electric, and receiving recognition as having the largest vehicle-to-grid demonstration program worldwide. We're also able to upgrade the facilities at the Youth Center, the Child Development Center, and we're able to work with the Medical Squadron to install some new X-ray equipment, which reduces patient to doctor care delay time by 55%. We, Team SMC, have also deployed 271 airmen, military and civilians, supporting 6 combatant commanders. And these deployments span 19 countries and provided support for 8 military operations and 4 joint exercises, highlighting the global impact of our personnel here at Team SMC. The SMC staff has also been critical to every single major decision I've made since being the commander. That includes our Judge Advocate's Office, our Public Affairs Office, and our History Office. And each one of those offices have been key to the successes that we've seen over the last 3 years, whether it's bringing the Air Force story, the SMC story to the American public, whether it's doggedly going through every single word and every single contract and agreement that we made over the last 3 years to ensure we were staying within the bounds of the law, and the History Office for connecting us back to 1954 and the rich history that we enjoy today and that we are accountable to ensure we do our jobs correctly. So as you can see, we've been incredibly busy over the last 3 years. And all these successes are a true testament to the government industry team partnership that we've forged and support over the last 3 years. However, space is the next frontier, and it's now becoming more contested and operationally challenging. Our adversaries understand the enormous comparative advantage our armed forces derive from our space-based capabilities. And they may indeed, at some point, aim to disrupt our abilities to leverage those space assets in support of our joint warfighting capability. Our response, the response of this product center, has been to continue rapidly creating the future, guided by General Raymond's space warfighting construct, to ensure our enterprise space battle management command and control capabilities will seamlessly integrate sensor to shooter to the combatant commanders to provide war-winning effects for the nation. As part of this effort, sir, we will continue working with Air Force Space Command leadership and partners such as the National Reconnaissance Office and the Missile Defense Agency to strengthen those partnerships and provide enhanced unity of effort across the national security space spectrum. Finally, to our honorary commanders, directors, and the greater Los Angeles community, thank you so much for your unwavering support to the men and women of the Space and Missile Center and Los Angeles Air Force Base. From homes in the surrounding communities to medical facilities, police, fire departments, and city infrastructure, we have relied and you have delivered in the support we need to execute the mission we've been assigned. Together, we service and support nearly 150,000 military retirees in the Los Angeles metropolitan area, and that teamwork is very much appreciated. So, Team SMC, I know you will continue to provide those resilient and affordable capabilities to our nation. Pat and I will always be proud to say that we have been a small part of this great organization. Thank you.
General Greaves, the men and women of the Space and Missile Systems Center greatly appreciate your sacrifice, commitment, and support to the center, our families, and the local community, and would like to render you a final salute as their commander. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the change of command. Attention to order. By special order of the President of the United States, number GG-002, Lieutenant General John F. Thompson is hereby appointed Commander of the Space and Missile Systems Center effective 22 May 2017. With the symbolic exchange of the flag, command of the Space and Missile Systems Center passes from General Greaves to General Thompson. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. General Thompson, the men and women of the Space and Missile Systems Center would like to render you your first salute as their commander. It is my honor to introduce the Commander, Space and Missile Systems Center, Lieutenant General John F. Thompson.
Well, good morning. So, saluted by a whole bunch of sharp-looking troops and some car alarms. Very nice. Very nice. I appreciate that, and it's so great to be here at Fort MacArthur and the Space and Missile Systems Center. I really look forward to working with all of you, but I have a few remarks to make. I promise to keep them brief. General Raymond, thank you for officiating at today's ceremony. It is my great honor to be part of the Space and Missile Systems Center and the Air Force Space Command family. Very much appreciate being here, and I do regret not being your classmate at the Harvard of the South. It's an incredibly exciting time here in the space business, and it's critical for our nation. Boss, I'm going to meet those challenges for you as you've laid out, both the blocking and tackling challenges of doing the space business day in and day out, and also the new and innovative things that you need us to do to make sure the United States of America maintains its advantage in the high frontier. Secretary Donnelly, sir, thanks for being here today. It's great to see you again. All of the former Space and Missile Center commanders, it is really my honor to be in your presence today. I probably need to make a shout out to a couple of you though. So first of all, General Tatini, you probably don't even remember me. 26 years ago this summer, I was that brash, arrogant, and insolent captain outside your office at the Air Force Materiel Command Provisional Headquarters, and I look forward to reintroducing myself to you. I've taken the edge off just a little, sir. So from an old boss like General Tatini, I have to also shout out to my most recent boss, General Polkowski. Ma'am, last week or several weeks ago at the Life Cycle Management Center Change of Command, I mentioned that every day was a school day working for you because you keep people on your toes, you have great leadership, great mentorship and coaching all the time. But now, since I don't work for you anymore, I can really be honest. And the phrase "best boss ever" comes to mind. So thank you, ma'am. And finally, I have to have a shout out because he is now a former Space and Missile Center commander to my good friend Sam Greaves. Sam Greaves and I have interacted many times throughout our careers, just never in the space business. And I got to tell you, I have a lot to learn about the space business, but I'll get there. What I do know for sure, though, what I'm pretty good at is managing large organizations and watching them perform. Sam, I can tell you, just having seen your organization perform, that is a direct reflection on the leadership that they've received from you. And I thank you for leaving this organization in the stead that you've left it. We are truly in your debt. For all of the former commanders and vice commanders and important people of the Space and Missile Systems Center, I will strive to live up to the expectations that all of you have set. To our industry partners, thank you. I very much look forward to interacting with you, learning about your programs, talking about how we can make them better. It's going to be great. To our federally funded Research and Development Center teammates, the folks that help us provide technical excellence and are really part of our family. I'm speaking of the folks from Aerospace and MITRE, Steve Isakowitz and Mike Joy representing each. Thanks very much for being here, and I really look forward to working with you and getting to know you. To all of the community leaders, all of the mayors and former mayors that are in the audience, thank you so much for being here today. For all of you that are Space and Missile Center honorary commanders, thanks. We have a proud history of community outreach here at the center that the team has been getting me up to speed on, and I will tell you that will continue to be a top priority under my leadership. We're going to build on this over 60 years worth of great community relations we have, and make it even better here in the South Bay. I'm not sure she was able to make it today, but I also have to have a shout out to a good friend of mine. If this was a wedding and there was a bride's side and a groom's side, I like to think that Natalie Crawford would be on the groom's side today. Natalie, wherever you are, thanks for all your great mentorship and coaching. And I have a strong suspicion that you've got more mentoring and coaching in store for me here at SMC. And finally, just a shout out to my lovely bride, Ruth Ann. Thank God I didn't go to Clemson. So for 35 years, I've known this lovely lady, and what you all will figure out very, very quickly is I am not the real talent in the family. Miss Ruth Ann is. And so she just had some back surgery, and she's flying on a red eye back tonight to help our daughter through a chemistry final later this week. In terms of the folks that ran the ceremony, in addition to those sharp-looking troops out there, a little shout out to Pam Taylor for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. That was fantastic. Chaplain Nyberg, thank you so much for the invocation. And then all of this was a huge team effort from protocol, from the Commander's Action Group, from the Director of Staff, and from untold numbers of volunteers, all under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Mark Shoemaker. Thanks for all the hard work. You did a super job, and will be appropriately rewarded with more work at some point in the future. To the men and women of Space and Missile Systems Center, I can hardly contain the enthusiasm I have for getting to work and being able to lead you all in this great mission. Your reputation is amazing. This unit obviously has a tremendous history and a proud heritage, delivering everything from intercontinental ballistic missiles to dozens of unique on-orbit capabilities critical to our nation's defense and our warfighters. That mission has been in the past and is in the present and will go on into the future. So it doesn't stop now. Not only do our warfighters count on the Space and Missile Systems Center, but just about every citizen in the free world also counts on what SMC does for them every single day. So regardless of whether your job is weather or global positioning system, early warning, communications, or launch, it doesn't matter. You are an important cog in the United States and in the free world. You have a stellar record of mission assurance. I think General Greaves coined the laser focus aspect of mission assurance, and you have lived up to that in spades. Congratulations. But as our nation has always needed, we cannot continue to rest on our laurels and our proud heritage. We have to adapt, and we have to get better, and we will. We have to shape SMC into an organization that's focused on rapidly delivering space warfighting construct capabilities. We have to do that because we have to counter the growing threats we face around the world. And in this business, I literally mean around the world. At the same time, we have to continue our long track record of mission assurance and success, both in ground segments, in launch, and on orbit. So we still have to do that blocking and tackling I mentioned earlier. I've seen what you can do from afar, and I've admired it. Now let's see what we can do together. It's my honor to be a part of this incredible team, and I look forward to meeting all of you, getting to know you, and getting to know your fantastic work. Thank you very much, and have a great Air Force Day.
Thank you, General Thompson. The men and women of the Space and Missile Systems Center extend their best wishes to Lieutenant General Greaves and Mrs. Greaves. We also extend a special welcome to our new commander, Lieutenant General Thompson, and his family to the SMC team. In keeping with tradition, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's ceremony.